This is KGW News at 11.
And it is election night in Portland. A presidential election and mayoral race still yet to be decided tonight. And it's not just the results people are watching for, but how people in this city will react.
Hundreds of protesters have been out marching in town this evening. The protest started at Revolution Hall earlier in the evening. We'll have a live report in just a moment.
And the race for president is looking increasingly likely it will be decided by a handful of yet-to-be-called battleground states. Neither President Trump nor former Vice President Joe Biden have enough electoral votes right now to claim victory. Biden did address supporters about an hour ago, expressing optimism.
We feel good about where we are. We really do. I'm here to tell you tonight, we believe we're on track to win this election. We knew because of the unprecedented early vote and the mail-in vote that it was going to take a while. We're going to have to be patient until the hard work of tallying the votes is finished.
President Trump also plans to speak tonight. We will carry that live when it happens. Here's a look at the electoral map. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are poised to play a huge role in determining a winner, which means we won't have many answers until at least tomorrow.
We are also waiting, though, on the winner in Portland's race for mayor. The incumbent mayor, Ted Wheeler, right now leading challenger Sarah Iannarone. Thank you for joining us right now at 11 o'clock. We have a lot to cover, from the remaining races to protests to some notable measures that passed in Oregon, like one involving magic mushrooms for medical purposes.
Also, we'll be basing our election calls tonight on reporting from NBC News, the Associated Press, and the Oregonian. Let's begin with Kylie Boshi and the local reaction to a very tight presidential election. Kyle.
Laurel, this was the 9th consecutive presidential election in which Oregon voters picked a Democrat, Joe Biden.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden easily won in the state of Oregon. The former vice president takes all 7 of the state's electoral votes.
All right.
Early on election night, we spoke with Biden supporters across the state.
We're at the risk and point of, frankly, losing our place in the planet, on the planet.
It's reinvigorating my faith in America that we'll do this.
As a woman of color, I am optimistic tonight that we're going to foster change.
This election hasn't just been about Trump versus Biden, but it's about the morals of the country.
Nationally, the race for president is too close to call. Early in the evening, members of the state Republican Party were upbeat and positive about Donald Trump winning re-election.
You know, we're the grand optimistic party, and I think we believe that the president has exuded optimism and a belief in the future of what we can do.
The choice could not be more clear about the future of Oregon and the future of the United States of America.
Oregon hasn't voted for a Republican presidential candidate since 1984, and this election was no different.
Joe Biden appears to have won 9 counties in Oregon, the same number as Hillary Clinton 4 years ago.
Kyle, thank you. Let's take a look now at the latest numbers in the mayoral race. We have Ted Wheeler with a lead over Sarah Iannarone, but again, it's too close to call at this point. You can see there is a substantial write-in vote. This was expected to be a close race. That's exactly what we got tonight. Let's turn to Pat Doris. He's been following this one for us. And Pat, neither candidate talking, not yet tonight.
Right, Dan. Well, the numbers haven't budged in about an hour, and there's a ton of votes that have already been cast, but there's a decent number still left. Ted Wheeler does go into the night with a substantial advantage, though. He's about 20,000 votes up, 327,000 votes cast, and really not that many left to go. But there still is a mathematical way that Sarah Iannarone could win this. So she tweeted out a little while ago that she was going to bed and that she'll continue to be an activist, win, lose, or draw. Okay, she didn't say the draw, but she said win or lose, she'll still be an activist and still moving forward. I've been trying to talk to the Wheeler camp, and I'm not hearing anything from them. So I think that everybody's just saying, okay, it's a late night, we're going to go to bed, we'll pick this up in the morning, but things are looking very good for the incumbent, Ted Wheeler. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat. And there is a shakeup on the Portland City Council, though. Mingus Mapps has easily defeated incumbent Chloe Eudaly with about 56% of the vote. This was Mapps' first campaign for office. He told us he's ready to get to work and he wants to see civility return to politics.
I want to get us to a place where we can open up our hearts again. One of the things that has distressed me over the course of the campaign is the degree to which Portlanders have been talking past each other, but not necessarily to each other. I think that it's time for a new kind of politics where we come together and try to focus in on solving our city's problems.
Daley was voted out after just one term following her own surprise win in 2016.
Control of the U.S. Senate also hangs in the balance tonight. Democrats hoping to flip it while Republicans are seeking to stay in control. As of right now, NBC has it at a dead heat at 46 seats apiece for both parties.
Those Senate numbers include Oregon, where incumbent Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley has defeated Republican challenger Jo Ray Perkins. Merkley has been in the Senate representing Oregon since 2009. Jo Ray Perkins previously ran for Senate in 2014, as well as the U.S. House in 2016 and 2018. As for the other chamber of Congress, NBC projects Democrats will keep control of the House. They came into the day heavily favored to maintain control after flipping the House in 2018.
In the race for Oregon's Secretary of State, Democrat Shemia Fagan has won over Republican Kim Thatcher. Fagan will replace Republican Bev Clarno. Clarno was finishing Republican Dennis Richardson's term. He died last year following a battle with cancer.
In Washington, Democratic Governor Jay Inslee has won re-election to a third term. He defeated Republican challenger Lauren Culp with about 60% of the vote. Speaking after the race was called, Governor Inslee said he will work to help all Washingtonians.
No matter who you supported in this election, Trudy and I are going to get up every single morning trying to figure out how we can help to improve your lot in life and allow you to realize your dreams. That's what we do.
Inslee also called Washington's record voter turnout a win for democracy. And now to a congressional race playing out in Southwest Washington. You can see Republican Jamie Herrera Butler has a 54 to 46% lead over her challenger, Democrat Carolyn Long. This has been a hard-fought contest, and Tim Gordon has been following it all along. Tim, this is a big district, too.
Laurel, it is a big district. It includes Clark County, of course, but several more rural counties as well. And Herrera Butler is trying to keep the seat she's had since 2010.
A hard-fought battle, to say the least, in a rematch that again pitted Republican Jamie Herrera Butler against the toughest opponent she's ever faced. Carolyn Long lost by just 5 points to the incumbent in 2018. Right now, the deficit is a little greater than that, and Herrera Butler is more than happy about it.
So I'm elated. I am floored. I'm thrilled. I was told, by naysayers outside of this region, the Republicans are all going down. And I had to smile because I thought, you can't tell people here what to do. They're going to do what they think is right. And looking at the numbers that I'm seeing so far, I think I have confidence that they're going to hold out.
But Long, a Washington State University political science professor, says what she saw at the Clark County Elections Office again today has her still hopeful and wanting the remainder of ballots counted.
As I drove by the auditor's office here in Clark County, and there were people wrapped around several blocks registering to vote and wanting to participate for the first time. And I think we owe them the respect that they deserve for wanting to participate before we decide, how we're going to move forward in this particular race. So, I'm not dodging anything. I'm just saying that it's time to let the votes be counted.
All right. Thank you so much to Tim Gordon for that. We have an update just in on the mayoral race in Portland. The Oregonian is calling it for Ted Wheeler, the incumbent. He is the first mayor to win a second term since Vera Katz in 2005. This is just in, as we told you at the top of the show, it was undecided at that point. Again, Mayor Ted Wheeler has won re-election.
Let's pivot back to Washington now. Voters have approved Referendum 90. It will require all public schools to teach comprehensive sexual education that is medically and scientifically accurate, as well as age appropriate for all students. As we turn to some of the key measures on your ballot now, big wins tonight for schools and libraries, but a huge, hotly contested transportation bond bit the dust. Let's go to Maggie Vespa joining us now. Maggie, the Metro payroll tax was the last one on our list to be called this evening.
Yeah, Dan, definitely. As you know, we've been watching kind of key, what we're sort of calling money measures, AKA, I want to show you the list of them now, the ones we've been watching. Those are measures that can kind of raise taxes on homeowners, employers, high earners, and so on to fund things like schools, libraries, and Metro had hoped major transportation projects. Again, this is our list, and you can see almost all of them passed, except for one. The campaign behind it called it Get Moving 2020, but voters stopped the Metro transportation tax dead in its tracks. A would-be tax on companies with more than 25 employees. It would have raised $5 billion for transportation improvements in more than a dozen corridors throughout the Metro area. Those opposing it, including major companies like Nike and Daimler Trucking, argued it would hurt businesses already suffering during the pandemic. Late Tuesday, a spokesperson for the campaign against the tax sent KGW a statement. It reads in part, in the future, Oregon employers should never be excluded or disregarded when local or state governments seek to raise new taxes. This victory demonstrates that the diverse voices of employers are always stronger when we are united and speak with a single, powerful voice. Metro's council president also issuing a statement, quote, though disappointed, we are still committed to the vision and to the community who helped identify and build the vision. The fact is, our communities, particularly communities of color and low-income families struggling the most right now, still need safer streets, better transit, and improved access to opportunity. Now let's run through the measures that passed.
I am very stoked.
Universal preschool given a big thumbs up by voters in Multnomah County. They approved a marginal income tax on high earners to pay for 7,000 free preschool slots by 2026.
It's always been about, building this preschool program that is going to be the best in the country with community voice at the center and really recognizing the needs of children, of families, of workers in Multnomah County. And we've done that from the very first day, centering racial equity as a part of this program.
Multnomah County voters also approved $387 million in general obligation bonds to modernize and expand libraries, while Oregon voters also approved raising taxes on tobacco and e-cigarettes to fund health care programs. Finally, a big win for Portland Public Schools. Voters approved a $1.2 billion bond to fund work modernizing high schools. Among them, Jefferson High School. Its student body is predominantly black, and administrators say this is overdue.
We haven't, as a school system, done a very good job of supporting black and brown students historically, and we're making a lot of investments in the classroom, but also this is a huge investment in the capital and the infrastructure of that community, and we're really excited about it.
Maggie Vespa, KGW News.
We are expecting President Trump to speak at any moment and will break away as soon as he does. Meanwhile, here's a look at the results of some other measures Oregonians voted on. Measure 107 on campaign finance limits has passed. It will amend Oregon's constitution to allow laws that limit political campaign contributions and expenditures, require those contributions to be disclosed, and require political ad campaigns to show who paid for them.
Measure 108, a tax increase on cigarettes has passed. It'll be $2 per pack as well as $1 per cigar. This also taxes things like e-cigarettes and vaping products. Money will fund health programs in Oregon. The Portland Police Community Oversight Board, that measure has passed. The measure will amend the city's charter to authorize a new independent community oversight board. It will investigate complaints against Portland police and impose discipline.
Oregon also legalized the medical use of psilocybin, that's the psychoactive ingredient in magic mushrooms. It will be allowed for use only in a supervised, licensed medical setting. The measure also creates a 2-year development period as well as an enforcement and taxation system. The drug decriminalization measure passed tonight. It will provide statewide addiction and recovery services. Marijuana tax dollars will partly finance those services. This will also reclassify the possession of specified drugs and reduce penalties.
Okay, one protest in Portland, we're told, is wrapping up now, but some demonstrators are still out in the city. Our Mike Benner is live at Revolution Hall, where a march began earlier tonight. Mike.
Yeah, hey there, Dan. You said it. We're at Revolution Hall in Southeast Portland. This is where things started earlier this evening, and this is where things are ending, at least for a large contingent of people. And that is because we're hearing of several splinter groups that are still milling around the city. But again, things started here at Revolution Hall in Southeast Portland around 5 o'clock tonight. Several hundred people gathered here. They listened to speakers. This was a Black Lives Matter rally. For the next several hours throughout this evening, demonstrators marched through Portland, the southeast part of the city, that is, and it was relatively peaceful and nonviolent, aside from some graffiti and some vandalism to Central Catholic High School that our very own Catherine Cook reports seeing earlier tonight. We know that the Unified Command, made up of the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, Oregon State Police, and the Portland Police Bureau, kept a close eye on tonight's demonstration. But as of 11 o'clock tonight, Public Information Officer Chris Lytle said that Unified Command did not have to engage demonstrators at all this evening. So that means, again, that this was a relatively peaceful and nonviolent event. All right, back out here live in Southeast Portland at Revolution Hall. Things are wrapping up again for a large contingent of people. There are still some speakers that are addressing the crowd, but other than that, it is a quiet evening out here in Southeast Portland. We'll keep an eye on things and bring it to you on air or online as things develop. For now, let's send it back to you.
You got it, Mike. Thank you for the update. Now, after the polls closed at 8 p.m. in Washington, there was a line of voters stretched around the Clark County Elections Office tonight. The line at one point was wrapping all the way around the building, some waiting in that line for an hour or so. Voters, some of them said they hadn't received a ballot, others registering and voting for the first time in Washington. A company even delivered some pizza to those people who were waiting. Not a bad move.